constantly when people are on here, they talk about being in the hardcore punk scene. And then I listened to probably 4 or 5 of your episodes in the past couple of days. And every person that I listened to also talked about like their youth growing up in the hardcore and punk scene. I think I think some of these people are lying to us. Like I don't think every single person grew up in the underground hardcore scene. If that was true, I think Bad Brains would be Sabrina Carpenter. Like, do you at all? Well, like, what do you think? Maybe like I'm not really into like I didn't grow up in punk or in hardcore, so it's not like I'm gatekeeping the industry. I just think for such a small underground thing, it's weird that so many big names are like tracing their youth back to that. I don't believe them. I call people's bluff.
I think that's one of the funniest things I've ever heard. And as you say it, I am also thinking about like, wow, the last 12 guests that have come on and be like, yeah, I grew up in the underground, listening to going to punk shows and stuff. And I think they just think that's cool, and so they're lying to me. I think you're onto something right now.
I believe some people. I believe Mikey Kratzer. I know he was kind of the catalyst for us doing this. I believe him. I've met him. I've seen his tattoos. I know. Actually, the last time I talked to him, he was outside of a pretty legendary hardcore show. So I believe him, but there are other people who I'm skeptical of.
Yeah, name names. Go ahead. All right, I don't know. I don't know if you want. I'm kind of laissez-faire when it comes to me just kind of saying everything. But I also am not trying to make this my job, so I understand I don't want to ruffle feathers.
I mean I am thinking of a couple specifics, but it's funny. I'm in the process of lining up episodes with these people, so I don't. I'm gonna wait. All they're gonna hear about it. Like I'll bring it up with them, but for now, it's just a blanket skepticism.
Yeah. And you know what? I'm glad that you said that too, because I feel like a lot of people, they're kind of spineless. I feel like journalism's kind of dead anyway. There's not a lot of real journalists left. And even if it's just you confronting someone and saying like, "Hey, did you actually go to these punk shows? Name 5 songs." I feel like that counts, and I feel like that's really noble right now.
See, I admit though, I need like a guest writer for my calling out of people because I don't know if I can name 5 songs. Like again, I'm not protective coming from that scene. I just listen to a lot of podcasts and I hear people. It's not even just us. I think every podcaster is maybe having the wool pulled over their eyes a little bit with these interests. But it's funny you actually say that about journalism because I really, I mean, besides you being on here and me having to sort of flatter the guest, I really like your interviews and I love the way you talk to people. And I don't like hear, it's not like you're the only one or I'm the only one who thinks about certain type of stuff when they're talking to people. But I like the way you conduct all your stuff, and I was very curious about your background in journalism or interviewing or even just conversations. Like where did it all come from for you?
Yeah, it's a good question. Well, first of all, thank you. I've had people tell me in the past like I'm a good interviewer, and I don't know. I don't know if I really feel like I'm a good interviewer. I actually feel like I'm not a very good interviewer. I feel like I've done research for maybe 2 of my guests that have come on. Recently, when I had Nur on, I did some research on him because someone put me on. I think it was Ali put me on. Was like, hey, you should probably have this guy on the pod. He's like super knowledgeable. And so I did some research on him, and he has a crazy history in the fashion scene. So I'm actually really happy that I did that research. Uh, so maybe it's something I should do more, but for the most part, it's just like I see these guys Instagrams and like what they do, and so I just start a conversation, and then I just want to get to know them, you know? And I guess maybe it's to answer the rest of your question. I've always been talkative. I haven't been shy to like go up and talk to someone ever. Even as a kid, my mom has a story of we were in like Barcelona or something, and I was just on a playground with all these Spanish kids, just making friends, can't even speak the language. So I've always been extroverted in that sense. And I think conversation just kind of comes naturally. I mean, the thing is, you take like the Channel 5 method, you know, or some people call it the solid snake method, where someone says something and you just ask them like why or tell me more about that. And it's super easy when you think about it that way to just, you know, someone's talking about something they're passionate about, and you can just ask a follow-up that's even somewhat on topic. And that's kind of just how I do all these interviews on the podcast.
I couldn't agree more. I also kind of subscribe to the idea that doing a ton of research before talking to people, for me at least, I kind of like get in my own head, and the more I'm, I mean, I want this to sound extremely humble. Like I don't mean it at all in an arrogant way, but as cooler, like bigger names say yes to being on here, I feel the more I look into them, the more intimidated I get and the more nervous I am to talk to these people when I start reading everything they've done and all the interviews and the collaborations. And I just like every extra page of a Google result like makes me nervous. And then I'm like, I shouldn't even be talking to this person. Like they've accomplished so much more than me just blabbing on the internet. Like it, I obviously know about people. I wouldn't ask someone or form an interest in them without knowing what they do and like valuing the contributions. But beyond that, like sometimes I like to stay away from it because I feel like I'm talking to a celebrity the more I learn about them. So I try to stay away from that. Sometimes there have been people who have asked for like questionings or directions before, and that kind of helps. But then I'm reading all of my questions in bullet form off the computer in front of me, and they never mesh well, and I can't like find a way to fit this one in. So a lot of the time, it's just easier to go into it kind of blind.
Yeah, and the fact that you even have questions prepared. I feel like what I usually do is someone will start talking, and you know, it's all about the guest, how good the guest is at speaking about themselves. But there's some people that they'll rattle off like three or four things, and I'll just have a notepad or like my notes up on my phone or something, and I'll just start typing things that I want to return to. Like they'll mention like, oh, like I was at my favorite cafe, and then I got on my favorite shoes, and then I went to my favorite hike, and then that's like three questions right there that I can go back to.
I mean, pretty simple. I'm sure like
Yeah,
anyone
yeah.
listening is like that's that we would do it. Dude.
Obviously, right? That's how conversations work, you know?
I never I think about things like when someone's talking, I make a note, circle back to this, and so like more often than not, I can't remember to go back to it, and I kind of end up like not addressing it later. So maybe I should take a page out of your book and make some notes. But then I feel you'd be reading the notes, and that's gonna detract from, I don't know. It's all hit or miss, I think.
Yeah, and there's a balance to it. You know, you just kind of like, you know, if we're narrowing on that 45-minute mark and I've got 12 questions that I haven't asked yet, it's like, okay, what's like the most important one? You know what I mean? Or you can just say like, hey, I've got more questions. Come back on some other time. Excuse to get more free content out of them.
Yeah, yeah, of course. I should also do that sometimes. I go a bit long when it might have been better to break it up into a round two. So it sounds like I have a lot to learn about all of this. I went back, did a bit of research in the, as I'm saying, I don't like to. I did a bit and know when you started July 21, right? That was the first episode.
Sure, yeah, if you say so. I don't actually remember.
I think that's the date. I don't even know if that was the first actual like episode of Trees and Nylon. I think that's the first time you put anything up on the app.
Oh, okay, sweet. Yeah. I mean, it probably was. I recorded like 3 or 4 episodes and posted all of them at the same time, just so I could have like a backlog if people wanted to go listen. That's when I was really on the grind.
Yeah, I appreciate how, I mean, that sounds weird to say not on the grind you are, but you've like done it for a long time. Like your show spans like longer than mine does, but you seem to like pop in and do them like when it works for you. And then I'm over here like hustling super hard to get mine out, and I feel we're probably in quite similar situations, but I've done way more stuff. Like I've,
Hmm.
and not in a good way at all. I just mean I've wasted more time putting these out consistently. I appreciate that you've been around like as relevant, but way less time yapping on the internet. I love doing this, but I also wish maybe I didn't do it as much because I haven't really, besides the inspiration and the conversation, I haven't gotten much out of it financially. And that,
I mean, neither.
but you're saying you don't want to make it like a full time thing, which is also very commendable. I really would love to make this a full time thing. So I guess we're different in that way as well.
Yeah, yeah. And to your earlier point, like I I get like I basically I'll tell myself, like I think I have up on my profile right now. New episodes every other Thursday. It's like mostly every other Thursday. And the hardest part, honestly, is just, I'm sure you're well aware of this, but scheduling people to come on is just like such a drag sometimes. Getting people that, as you grow more and more, and then as you're like, okay, I could probably get more and more popular people on here, you learn that those more and more popular people are way harder to get in touch with. Like Reese Cooper. I've brought him up a few times, but like he is he's a super cool dude, you know? He was very accommodating. He was like, "Yeah, let's do it." Super excited, like sent me some stuff like, let's do this, man." And then I didn't hear back from him for a year. And I literally set a reminder on my phone. Like I sent him a double text like, what's going on?" And then I didn't want to seem too desperate. So I just left it on that, and then I set a reminder on my phone for a year later. Like, hey man, can you want to come back on? He's like, yeah, dude, for sure, let's do it. Sorry I didn't respond. And that was a calendar year, and that's just one guy. And he eventually did come on, but I just find that where I feel like I'm at clout wise is not where society sees me at clout wise, and so it's harder to get those like bigger names on.
Like absolutely. I couldn't have said it any better. That I mean, I did just listen to his episode with you. That was a great episode. Worth the wait. I would assume a year. That's a, I mean, that's patience that I would only aspire to. Hey, it's not like I'm not saying I'll ask someone once and then the chance is over. But a year, like setting a reminder for a year, that is unprecedented discipline. That's impressive.
Yeah, and I usually preach. perseverance, basically. Like with especially with these bigger people, I feel like an asshole. Can I curse on this? Is that cool?
Yep.
Okay,
Yeah.
cool. Cool, cool. I feel like an asshole when I talk about people that have come on. But like Nicole McLaughlin, Tim Hamilton, those two people, like that was the first time I ever had to go through someone's manager, like go through someone's like PR to talk to someone. And that was just literally probably once a week. I was emailing people about, hey, can you come on? Hey, can you come on? Hey, can you come on? And eventually they'll respond, you know? Eventually, once you're like, oh yeah, can you come on? I've had on this person you follow and that person you follow. I found like the mutual play is pretty powerful, saying, I've had on this, this, and this, and like, oh, okay, yeah, that it gets us some credit then. But it's still a hard game. And so with Reese, it was more of a bit of like, don't text him for a year and then see if he responds, because it felt like such a lost cause to me at that point. Um, but yeah, it all worked out, and it was a good time. Go listen.
I feel like I'm exposing some of my tactics, and I'm sure people I'm gonna reach out to in the future might be able to reference this. But I mean, the mutuals is honestly like maybe 100% of why I am able to have some of the people I've had. I like strategically wait. I have someone in mind that I would really love to reach out to, but I think, okay, I'm recording with so and so in like 3 weeks, and I think their episode might open the door for this. So I'm gonna wait. I'll put theirs out, and then 2 days later, I'll message their friend, and then I mean, knock on wood, it's worked pretty much. I feel that there's a lot of stuff. I mean, there's a million things I don't understand. I think I do have a good awareness of where I sit with all this, so I don't ask people who are unattainable. Like there are so many people who I would love to talk to, but I know they're gonna say no, so I just won't. Like it's not like I can't handle the rejection. I just won't waste their time and in turn my time. So there are people I would love to talk to, but I haven't asked them yet. But for now, I look at mutuals. I look at like, basically how much more famous are these people than I am. No, I'm not famous in any way. So how much bigger are they than me? And will they see this CM? I've been lucky enough that maybe a couple like important people follow, so the DMs are already open. But I really rely on the like mutuals and the like friend of a friend type thing. I think that's the best way to go about my conversations. And then me loving the way you talk to people, I get the sense that that's probably your best approach as well.
Yeah, yeah, definitely just like clout sharking is the best way for sure.
And speaking of Nicole McLaughlin, that's what I was talking about. That I said I want to make sure we're recording. But I
Mhm.
reference your reference. You hit her with like a sleeper bowling for soup reference that no one got, but the no surf in Colorado. Like
Uh-huh.
like 3 days ago referenced that to my girlfriend, and she looked at me like she had no idea what I was talking about. I was like, "You don't know the classic bowling for soup song, No Surf in Colorado." She had no idea what I was talking about. Looked it up, played it for her. Like I think she may have thought about dating other people at the time, so it was totally a failed reference. But then when I heard it this morning, I was like, "That incredible! No one knows. No one's gonna know this time." Hammering it in, but I really respect that and incredible that you dropped that.
Well, yeah, obviously your girlfriend didn't grow up in the underground punk scene like every single person I've ever talked to. So
Yeah.
she obviously didn't understand the reference, but thank you. Yeah, I don't feel like I I have too many references that go over people's heads. And actually, I want to amend that statement. I feel like I do make jokes a lot that people don't get, but it's when I'm talking to Americans more so because I feel like as I've spoken to so many British people, I've kind of adopted their humor, or maybe I already had it, just sort of dry sarcasm. And there have been times where I've made jokes to people and they just kind of sit there and look at me. I'm like, oh, you didn't. I was joking, by the way, when I said that crazy thing that I just said. So sometimes it does go over people's heads.
That's one of that. Maybe that's why I really love your interviews, but that's the kind of humor that I like as well. And actually, sometimes I wish that more guests on here like played around with humor a bit. Like I've even way earlier on, I had a couple of comedians on, and I leading up to it was so happy that like finally I'm gonna have an episode where we can just joke and like talk about dumb stuff and laugh. And then those ended up being probably some of the most serious talks because I feel that comedians like joke around all the time. So maybe they didn't want to joke around in this scenario, but I yearn for someone to kind of be funny and have that like standoffishness and the awkward humor, but like no one has really done it. And I really appreciate it. I wish now I'm probably gonna get a ton of people just trying to only use that stick, but I mean, I welcome it. Anyone listening, any future guests, please be as dry and awkward as possible.
It's good. That's good. I, yeah, I don't know. I feel like I agree to an extent. There's some people that come on. I'm not gonna say names for this one because it's kind of mean. There's some people that come on and I'm just like, I don't really know if there's jokes to be made from this. There are some guests that come on and I'll try to crack wise every now and then, but for the most part, when I'm making those memes for the episode afterwards, I don't really have much to go off of. You can tell. I won't say which ones they are, but you can tell when the memes have nothing to do with what the episode was about, it means that I didn't find the conversation funny enough to craft memes off of.
Oh, now that I know the intel, I'll cause like I mean, normally this I mean, not that you need any validation from me, but a lot of people I'll listen to a few things they were into and then I'll interview them and then it's not like I've lost interest entirely, but I'll kind of like move on. It's not really on my docket to like keep listening to their interviews, but I think I'm gonna go back and listen to all of your episodes because like I learned about even from people who I've like listened to a ton. The way you carry the conversation with them, I feel like I learned like Lawrence from Throwing Fits. Your episode with him is great. I listened to him always like for years like before Throwing Fits, and I still took a lot away from your talk with him. I feel like it was a lot of questions that people like don't ask, like at least like ask specifically. So I feel I have more to listen to try to like pull stuff from all the guests.
Yeah, and two things on him. First of all, you were talking about being nervous for guests earlier. That was the only guest where I was truly nervous, and I felt like when the podcast ended, I had really done terrible because, Nicole was like the biggest person I had had on, but as soon as we started talking, she's super chill. It's like we're just people. Um, but I've been listening to Throwing Fits. Like that's what got me into fashion proper. I was like into Supreme and Kith and all that stuff before I started listening. But then when I started actually caring about when I downloaded Grailed, you know what I mean? It was because I was listening to Throwing Fits. So it was they say don't meet your idols. And he was super nice. Like it was not his fault at all, but I just felt like I froze up and I couldn't really talk to him. I feel like if he came on again, it'd be different. But yeah, it was just I felt like I didn't do well. And I had something else I was gonna say, two things that I can't remember. So sorry.
I maybe we're different. Maybe you're not burdened with the pettiness that I am, but when I have an episode that I love the guest, I feel like it could have been better than it was. It almost instantly becomes my mission to like maybe that's what I'll learn to set the year reminder. But I want to hit these people up again and like retry it later. Like, do you have any guess that you're like we have to redo it and let the people know like how this really should have gone?
Hmm. I mean, if I did, it would be him for sure. There's been people that like came on and I just did not like them. It's only happened once. I'll tell you who it is after we're done recording. Uh, but yeah, after he came on, I was just like, dude, this was not good. Like this was not fun. Neither of us were having a good time. And so I basically I lied to him and I said the recording got corrupted or something. And I was like, we need to redo this. Is that cool with you? And he came back on and he was much better the second time. But the first time around, it was just I just wasn't feeling it in the moment. And then as I was listening to it back, I was like, oh my gosh, this guy's insufferable. Like I need to redo the conversation and I need to kind of steer him in a way that he can't talk about he can't brag about himself as much as he did in the episode.
So funny, I haven't had to do that yet, but I know, yeah, for sure it will happen. And I've already thought about exactly like the file was corrupted or the mic wasn't plugged in. It is like it's not the best thing to do to a guest. I would agree, but it is a very easy, relatable, and believable out. Like the hard drive lost it or whatever. Everything.
Yeah. Yeah. If it's not your fault specifically, then they'll feel bad for you and they'll redo it. So like, file was corrupted or hard drive lost it. Like it's not your fault, the technology faltered. So yeah, they're going to redo it. But if you're like, oh, my mic wasn't plugged in, then maybe they'll be like, okay, well, you messed up. I'm sorry, I don't have time. You know, some things I think when you're looking to manipulate people, think about all the factors.
Yeah, no. It is. I agree. I'm a terrible human for thinking of it, but I've thought of every single step and how I will manipulate a guest when it comes to that. So I guess now anyone in the future, if that does happen, like if I really do lose an audio file, they're never gonna believe me. And that'll be the end of it. But that's fun.
Yeah, yeah, and it has happened before that I actually have lost the audio file, or like I've been putting it into um like Audition, and it just doesn't go through, or someone's audio is all wonky or something, and there has been times where I've had to re-record actually, but I've never told anyone the trick of lie about the audio because I've only had to do it once.
I'm so terrified. Actually, with Mikey, uh, a couple of weeks ago, I had him and it was three of us on an episode. We went a little long, and the editing was a bit more than I would have liked it to be. And then after I edited the whole thing, then I lost the file.
Oh,
So I had to go back and edit again. It was insane. And now I'm so terrified that as soon like when we're done, I'll put it on an external. Actually, it's going on to external right now. Then I'll double put that on an external, put any like video that I'm making, just everything needs to be like triple backed up immediately because I have like so much PTSD from having to go through. It was like once I had to edit it twice. Really, really easy job in comparison to what any listener has had to go through for their work. But I did not love 3 hours of editing twice. And now I hopefully, knock on wood, will never make that mistake again.
Yeah. Yeah, I think the aforementioned Ner episode, I literally hit the export button and, all the editing done, hit the export button, and then it just something went wrong and it said can't export. And then I went back to the file and it was just completely blank. And I said, oh my gosh. So I just had to sit there and redo all of it. So it happens every once in a while, but like you were saying, compared to other jobs, it's a very minor setback.
Yeah, I mean, I have friends that work really hard at real jobs, and if I told them the hardest thing that happened to me last week was editing twice, they would laugh at me forever.
You got soft hands, boy.
What's your sport primarily? Because I know when we started talking, it might have been under the pretense of running, but then I hear you probably reference climbing in your episodes more than that. So, which one would you say is your like main export?
But definitely right now it's climbing. Um, I have a goal. I have a little sticky note sitting in front of me for my goals for 2026. And on one of them, this is gonna sound, you've talked to a lot of runners and they're all uh accomplished and they're good at what they do. So to them this is gonna be laughable, but I have a goal of a 30-minute 5K in 2026. Now, let me tell you a little bit about me. I've been rock climbing for a while, probably we'll call it 2 years consistently. And it's more of like a thing to go and have fun with your friends, but obviously, you want to get better, so you're progressing slowly. I probably hadn't run since, mm, really run since like sophomore year of college. So it was what, 4 years ago ish? I haven't really run. And the last time I was super physically in shape was in high school and I was playing soccer. So I just, I realized that I was getting winded too easily and that I just wasn't happy. Like I'm definitely not out of shape, but my cardio wasn't there. So I was like, okay, well, I want to start doing cardio. So I had a goal for 2025 to run a 7-minute mile because that's like, I looked it up and apparently that's supposed to be good. I think the fastest I ever ran was like a 5:30 back in high school. But running is on the docket for 2026. I want to get really into it. And by really into it, I mean like buy a new pair of shoes and not get winded after I've run just 1 mile. I don't know how people do it, man. I see like on Instagram, you'll see the people who are like, "Oh, I'm gonna go run 10 miles before work today," and they'll be like, "Oh, mile one, mile four, mile seven, turning around." It's like, how are you not dying? I run 1 mile and I need to like sit down for 10 minutes. So I don't know how these people are doing it. Anyway, I'm talking for a lot now, but yes, to answer your question, climbing and then sometimes running.
You feel free to, you can talk for as long as you want.
Okay.
That's the point of it all. But yes, I agree. Running to me seems crazy because I think about when I do something hard, which is very rare, but when I do something that I don't love or my body doesn't agree with, I don't want to do that again. Maybe since I do nothing hard, say the podcast, the file, losing it, and then
Yeah,
doing
yeah.
it again, I hated that, and I will do everything I can to never have to do that again. But runners, they run. It seems like the hardest thing. It's like a day, or not a full day, but like hours of what they're doing. It's like strenuous, and then they go to bed and they want to do it again, maybe another couple times that week. It makes no sense to me. Like it seems, most people like learn about hard things and then stay away from them if possible. Runners go back to it all the time. And I don't know. Might be like the hardcore thing. I feel they might be lying to us. Like I don't know if they all love it like they say they do, but you never know.
I mean, listen, when I do go for a run and I'm doing it consistently, I'm looking forward to it. I'm thinking about, how getting home and going for that run. Right now it's cold outside, so not now, but I'm thinking about, oh yeah, I'm excited to go for a run. I think I can beat my time. I'm feeling good today. So I get the hype around it. It's just it's really hard. Running is really hard. And no one talks about that. I don't think.
I do. I understand like the concept of wanting like competing with yourself and
Yeah.
wanting to get faster and each time is better. Like in theory, I understand that. Again, that's not something I practice myself really. I don't. I mean, I strive to. I don't know if I actually do improve at anything I do day to day, but I get that runners always want to show up and do better than last time. That's very respectful, very commendable. But all the other stuff, I don't really understand.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like a lot of people, it's sort of like an addiction, you know? The people who are super into running, they get to a point where it's it's their whole thing. It's their whole personality.
What shoes are you thinking about getting?
Um, what's that one everyone's got? The new Adidas.
Oh, Evo SL with the big stripes.
Yeah. Yeah. Going back to my roots, used to be a an Adidas boy back in the day. So I like white running shoes, which is weird because, the point of a running shoe is to get dirty and destroyed. But there's something about a white shoe that I've always liked.
Running is cool for I mean it's cool in so many ways, but for me it's cool because my girlfriend is a big runner and I just follow her around the world running. So I've seen been to a lot of cool spots under the pretense of her running, which I love. And I mean that's one part of running that I understand and can get behind. Like she ran London Marathon, Berlin, New York, all those spots. Like I just kind of follow her there, and that's a good enough reason for us both to be there. So that side of it, I'm into.
Yeah, dude, I see some of these people going up to like Chamonix in France and the cool runs up in the mountains, the ultra marathons and stuff. And I see a lot of these influencers on the like outdoor apparel space that they're not even going there to run. They're going there to support their boy and just like drink wine and be in the mountains. That part also sounds super cool. It sounds like you're living life, you know?
Yeah, for sure. Chamonix is actually one of the spots that I'm hoping Sarah's running brings me. So it's funny you would say.
Yeah, dude, that's on my list too. It looks so serene.
New York Marathon Week, I swear in a couple more years is gonna compete with like Fashion Week. I think all the like pop-ups and everyone like trying
Yeah.
to be there for that. It's already happening a little bit, I think, and hopefully it just gets even. I mean, maybe some people listening don't want it to turn into that type of thing, but as someone who's there just for it to be that type of thing, I would love it.
Yeah. I honestly I feel like Fashion Week in Paris is just sort of runner's week. Well, last year or this year, um, depending on when you're listening to the podcast, 2025, uh, there was like a huge run club in Paris during Fashion Week. I don't know who, I think it was Hoka maybe that was doing it, but they sponsored a bunch of people to come out there and do a run club like every day of Paris Fashion Week. So the lines are already crossing.
Yeah, I can't wait if it does get to that. And again, sorry, I'm sure some listeners don't want it to, but
Hmm.
I do, and I think it will. Um, Let me ask you about the parallel between trees and nylon. Like what was that? The two things that you decided to like pair when you started your podcast.
It's a good question. That comes from basically just where I was in life at the time. I go through a lot of phases. My wife says it constantly that, you know, it's I'm going through a phase. I'll mention something and just, are you sure? Or is that just something you're interested in right now? Um, so at the moment in 2021, when you said that I posted for the first time, I was into fashion. I was still figuring out what I really liked and who I kind of was in the fashion scene. And I listened to an episode of Throwing Fits, shout out Larry, uh, with Blackbird Spy Plane, who is sort of a guru of all things fashion. He's got knowledge that like it's astounding how much he knows about micro trends that are going to happen and colors are going to be in style and all that. And he was saying to them on the pod, he was like, Gorpcore is up next. It's this thing that it's outdoor clothing. It's all these brands and Wander and Arc'teryx and all this. They're all going to be super big coming up. And I listened to that and I said, oh, okay. I like going outside. I hadn't been camping in a super long time, but it was like 2020, 2019 probably when I heard that. And I just got inspired and he mentioned some accounts that he follows that are like on trend with that. And so I followed those accounts, started bothering everyone on my personal account, saying, reposting on my story of mood board stuff and cool Solomons and all that. And it just kind of fell into place, and that also came up with 2020 when the pandemic happened, everything shut down. Me and my friends were just like, you know what? Let's just go camping because you can't really go anywhere else, and we don't want to be around people. So let's just go wild camping up in the Appalachians, which are near me, like 2 hours away. So everything just kind of fell into place at the same time. Of I was into clothes. There was this new style that I heard about that I kind of messed with, color wise, and then also like the silhouettes and fabrics I liked, and then got into camping at the same time. So made the Trees and Nylon account and just started getting more and more into it.
That I mean, I gotta start out by commending a lot of people might hear about a trend or hear something on a pod. They maybe like would take the initiative to like want to look a certain way, or like they'll drop some money on some outfits, but they won't actually do what the outfits are meant for. It's cool that you sought out the whole thing and then did what came with wearing that stuff. Like as someone who barely goes outside and wears all that stuff, I extend my commendations for you actually using it for what it's supposed to be used for and being interested in it.
Yeah, I think what I found is, especially early on 2020 to probably 2022, that was the peak of this whole trend before it hit the mainstream, I would say. It's like the peak niche trend, Arc'teryx was making System A. You could buy a Patagonia chinchilla fleece, the cool ones, for like $400 on eBay. The people were really pushing for like, you're wearing this functionally. Like the function came before the fashion. And then I think probably 2023, you got your brands like Zara and H&M that are hopping on the trend and making their own little rain jackets and kind of copying designs they've seen. And that's when it all kind of started to die, when it just got more mainstream. But it was good while it lasted.
I mean, that's the other thing. I think when someone is into this just for the aesthetics of it, it coming and going wouldn't really mean that much to them because they can just put on a different outfit. But you're actually into like the activities as well as the clothing. So what do you feel like? What are you gonna do next? Like when this, I mean, it's not going to go away entirely. And of course, for people like you who are actually going outside in it, it's going to remain a thing like within your ecosystem, but like fashion wise, what if you had to say like what's your plan for what's next?
Yeah. So I hit a point probably in, I don't know, 3 years ago when everything kind of started dying down and people, bigger brand. I think it's like when the Gucci North Face collab happened. I was like, oh, okay, things things are wrapping up, and it's interesting because there's two sides to it. There's like there are people who are content creators who are now going to get more deals than ever before because it's super popular, but then at the same time, the aesthetics that to me they're not sacred, but they're there for, they're functional. You buy a jacket because it's going to keep you warm or dry or both. Those are going to kind of not be as important to the people that are making the clothing. So for me, I hit a point where, I had my jackets, I had my pants, like I have all the camping gear that I need, I have all the hiking gear that I need. Um, and then I just started thinking about, well, I don't really have anything to wear on a date, you know? I need to start thinking about what am I going to wear on a date night. So I started looking into kind of I, tactical might be the right word, like Stone Island, that kind of stuff, where it's Gorpcore adjacent. People are still into it that are into that scene, but it's just a bit more dressy. And then that spiraled into just like American heritage stuff, LL Bean, Ralph Lauren, those kind of brands, along with Americana inspired brands like Phipps or Capital. Um, yeah, so I think I would classify my daily style now more as like Americana with a sort of Gorpcore flair. A bit edgier, a bit more outdoor oriented, you know? Like I wear loafers most days to work, but I'm wearing loafers that have like a lug on them. So it's not just flat on the ground. It's a bit more all terrain. It's just small things like that to kind of, be unique.
What do you think about all the speed loafers? All the like, I think Keen just released one that's insane.
Yeah, I know some guys that would probably rock them, but they're definitely not for me. And they're definitely more for like the Ben Greenies, the like organic lab types, people that are truly still Gorpcore. You can definitely get away with it, but for me, I just don't feel like they would look good with anything that I really wear. Because I don't really wear a lot of technical fabrics. Like I admire all the stuff they're putting out. I'm just gonna start spouting names. Zhong Li, J Lau, Colin Meredith, all these people put out really cool clothes. I don't buy any of them just because again, I'm more into that Americana look than I am like seam taping and black and like cool silhouettes. Uh, but I admire it, and so I could understand some people that could wear this, but I don't think that I have the wardrobe for them.
I think the exact same thing when I look at like the speed loafers and the Keens. Like, who is this for? Like, I don't know, who is the target customer of this?
Yeah.
I guarantee they'll sell out. And I mean, these days memes
Hmm.
sell more fashion than fashion shoots too. So I get it. But yeah, I wonder who are these for? Like when you guys sat down in your meeting to make these, like who was the customer on the mood board?
Yeah, I think they probably just had a picture of Ben Greeny up there, honestly, just like, just this guy. The common acronym buyer, you know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah, of course. That's funny. Are you when you have Stone Island, are you badge on or off?
I'm bad, John. Well, I don't wear it as much anymore because of, the times that we're living in. Just don't want to be associated in any way, but I do badge on. I do badge on. And when I did, even before these unprecedented times, I would have badge on and I'd still get like, what's that? What are you wearing on your arm right now? Oh, it's whatever. I just have one sweater though, so I don't have a ton.
Yeah, I like admittedly, they might as well just put it out there. I don't get like always badge on. What's the point of buying this sweater if you're not flexing
For
the bad?
real.
Like you could just buy a Uniqlo sweater for hundreds of dollars less without the badge. I Stone Island is great, like all jokes aside, it is made well, and sure, like if you want to buy it, buy it. But yeah, it's crazy when people take the badge off because like what is the point without it?
Yeah, like I guess it's like if you're trying to, I don't know, there's some like Valence, Arc'teryx Valence is basically all just if you know, you know. There's no logos on it anywhere. It's just it looks cool. There's a lot of other brands that are that way. You know, they're usually higher fashion brands like Rick Owens doesn't have branding, but it's super obvious what it is when you look at it. I think maybe if you want to be like an if you know, you know type guy, maybe you'll just take off the badge, but you still have the buttons on the jacket. So people will just know you're wearing Stone Island without the badge. So,
Yeah, I should reiterate. I fully understand why someone would wear a really nice, expensive piece with no branding. Like you want to wear whatever, like some cashmere that's $1,000, no one will know. Like that is totally cool. I mean, in the specificities of Stone Island, why would you take the badge off that brand?
yeah, I don't know. Some people are just weird.
I mean, it takes a more nonchalant person to be able to do that. Maybe I'm just not on that level of serenity yet. Maybe one day, but it's barely an aspiration of mine to wear more Stone Island. So
Yeah, honestly, I feel like the people that take the badge off care way more than the people that keep it on because you're changing it so that people will just notice as like and if you know you know type thing. There's levels to it, and I feel like the people who take off the badge probably care way more.
that's an incredible point. Actually, I've never thought about that. But yeah, I agree with that fully. That's funny. We're exposing hardcore Stone Island. There's many veils being lifted in this convo for sure.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So what, like, you were saying, like you probably talk to more Americans. Like the majority of your guests would be American, but they can be all over. What do you think about any of the Canadian people you've talked to? Like not specifically, but yes, as a Canadian, I'm curious how you feel about Canada's contributions to all the things you're interested in.
Canada's contribution. Well, obviously Canada is beautiful. There's lots of great nature up there. So every time I talk to someone from Canada, I get jealous that they live in a prettier part of the world than me. Um, but besides that, I mean, there's a couple brands up in Canada, a couple people in Canada as well that I really appreciate, like Kluane Mountaineering. I talked to Dylan from there. He's an awesome guy. It's like cut and sew puffer jackets, all bespoke, so all made to order. Really cool concept that you don't really see a lot of. It's very mom and pop, and I really appreciate that. You don't get a lot of it these days. I mean, besides that, Coulter Wall. I love Coulter Wall's music. He's Canadian. And Cooper Gill technically lives in Canada, but he's not Canadian. And knowing Daniel White is like my style icon. I love him. So yeah, there's a lot of good stuff coming out of Canada.
Actually, no one knows this. He never admits it, but Errolson Hugh from Acronym grew up in Edmonton, like where I am.
Really?
Yeah, he doesn't. He probably hate. I mean, I doubt he's listening, but he probably wouldn't love being exposed this way. But yeah, absolutely, he grew up, went to high school, even I think university, and then moved away and started
Oh wow.
acronym. So that's not really claim to fame for us, but it's funny to drop that reverence on the three people in the world that would care, and you're one of them, I assume. So
Dude, yeah, I would own that. I didn't know he was Canadian. You can add that to the list.
yeah, he and Haven. I don't know if you know,
Yeah,
but
yeah,
that
I
store
do.
that's from here. The first one was here. They I mean showed all of us all that stuff. They were kind of the first store I had ever seen that had a lot of that stuff in person. So that was cool.
Yeah, dude, Haven's sick. I remember even back in the day when I was still a hype beast, Haven made a pair of Ultra Boosts that I was like, dude, these are so cool. I need a pair of these. I didn't get them, obviously, because you know the times, but yeah.
Yeah, I remember when they did that. Actually, maybe they've done more than one, but I remember the black and white one that kind of like I think they were one of the first people to do like an ultra boost like that. So it was a big deal.
Pretty sick. Yeah, the all black was very like it was very bold back in that time because everyone wanted the all white Ultra Boosts. So then when they come up with the all black ones, big statement.
Yeah, yeah, of course. Yeah, let me ask when did you realize like a podcast was the best vessel for your conversations? Like what made you think like I'm gonna talk to people, record it, put it out in this format?
Yeah. Well, I've always done content in some form ever since high school. I was in video production, so I was always into shooting things, making things, and when I made the Trees and Nylon account, I started following all these people as, you know, Blackbird Spy Plane told me to do. And I realized they all lived in the UK. And the more people that I followed, you know, you go into the comments of any of these pages and you start following people, just strike up conversation with them. The more people I followed, I realized that they all live in the UK. And this was kind of crazy because you wouldn't think the UK would be a huge center of hiking. I mean, obviously now I know it is, but it's not, it wouldn't be top five probably in anyone's list if you were asking them. But they all lived over there. So I was like, I'm never going to see these guys in real life. I want like a way to talk to them though. And then I said, well, I've done podcasts before, and there really wasn't a podcast in the space for specifically like the Gorpcore area. Obviously, there's fashion podcasts all over the place, but not one dedicated to this niche. And so I started it up. I started talking to people. It was just people that I met. I didn't do it with a goal of, you know, trying to become famous or to like get a sponsor even. I mean, obviously I had those goals, but it wasn't like the motivating factor. The motivating factor was just having conversations with people that I liked their clothes or I like what they posted on Instagram, and then it just sort of took off from there. So I feel like I still maintain that core of it's just people that I think dress cool or post cool stuff on a mood board, and so I just generally believe that they'd be fun to talk to. And it's held true. It's held true.
That's I really like that because maybe not exactly the same, but that is sort of my whole like ethos with all this too. I really there are people who I kind of admire and I would love to talk to them and now that I mean COVID showed us all that we can talk to anyone around the world through a Zoom. I just figured like this is kind of the only especially where I am is so remote, like I'm not moving anywhere else. So the only way I can really be a part of all these talks is this way, and that's sort of why I put all this together too. So it's I mean I see I hope I'm not offending you by constantly comparing these, but I see a lot of similarities in the way we talk to people, but also in the reasoning for why. we talk to people. I appreciate that we both kind of see things that way. It's in my opinion, it's a fun way to see the world.
Yeah, and no offense. I definitely am not offended by that. I love when people don't take it too seriously and just are doing it for the love of the game because I feel like you can really tell when people aren't. Like if someone is doing it because they want to get a sponsorship or they want to make it, they're just taking it too seriously. You know what I mean? You can always tell and you can weed those people out. Uh, so yeah, for me, it's always just been something fun to do.
It's interesting too that you kind of bring up that there wasn't that many or any pods that were in the exact lane that you wanted to be in. I constantly tell people that type of thing too. That I know obviously there are millions more podcasts that need to exist, and this could be one of them for sure. But I feel like when you really niche down and you have an idea for who you want to talk to, it's like a very kind of small world, even on the internet. And there isn't really that many other podcasts talking about that exact specific type of thing. I think I forget which guest you were talking to, but it was kind of about the exact same thing. There isn't like too many other podcasts that are about the exact niche that you're trying to explore. I feel again not to be the guest up on this, but I think the exact direction I'm trying to take this, there isn't anyone doing exactly that. Like a lot of these guests have been on other interviews and stuff, but I feel like the exact niche of what I'm trying to do isn't as overdone as some things can be in the podcast space. And I feel like you're that I don't know. I think you might be one of the only ones, if not the only one, talking to the exact people you're talking to about the exact things that you're talking about.
Yeah. Yeah, and I appreciate that. I feel like it's important to keep that mindset, you know?
Is it hard for you at all? Like when you tell people, say you're at a dinner with your wife or something, when you tell people you're a podcaster, do you do that like sheepishly? Like, is there still kind of the stigma behind that for you? Like, whenever I'm introducing myself to people, and it's by far the first thing I'll bring up. But if it's something I need to address, I always feel so awkward and embarrassed, like to say I have a podcast because I don't think this pod is the coolest thing ever. I think it might be a tiny bit cooler than the average person, but I think when I say I have a podcast, I can just imagine what people think I'm doing with podcast, and I wonder if you feel that way when you tell people you have one.
Yeah, so I have a day job. This isn't my day job. So that's why I don't no one at my work knows that I do this. My friends do. I tell people that I'll bring it up that I do this, but I always, you have to control the narrative a little bit. You always tell them I was really into fashion, which is like a cool thing. And you have to say, it's a cool thing. You say, yeah, so I'm into fashion. That's cool. If you don't think it's cool, you wouldn't get it. So I started this podcast, like talk to people who are also into fashion and hiking. And hiking is also cool. And that's the thing is like, if you do a podcast about something that's not cool, I feel like it's way harder to defend. But if you're doing one that's like about the outdoors or about physical activity, like running like yours, like you can sell it to someone. Like I'm talking to people who are cool, they can run faster than you. Not me, but other guests you've had on can run faster than you. So like what are you gonna do? You gonna call me lame for talking to pro athletes? Come on.
No, I agree with that for sure. And I always wondered, like, I in my head I can justify all this, but then when it's someone I've never met before, I just feel so weird about it. Like saying
Yeah.
I have one because I know, like, you get not to call anyone out specifically, but I have friends or girlfriends, friends, like people who have podcasts that are exactly what I don't want people thinking of when I say I have a podcast. Like, yeah, it's I mean that in the nicest way possible, but yeah, I hate like having to say I have one and then just know what people are assuming it's about. And then even maybe on paper, if you were to say what I talk to people about, I don't even know if that would be the coolest thing. But I mean, every guest I have is cool, like in there, right? Like, I'm not saying that we're cool by having them. I'm saying these people are very, very interesting and contribute lots in many different ways. But if I was just to say, oh, I talked to runners or I've talked to graffiti writers or whatever, it might not seem like that cool to someone who didn't really know like the full scope of it all.
Yeah.
What I guess I was saying before, I think before we recorded, you're the first podcaster, like fellow podcaster that I've had on. I've had plenty of people who have been on them, but no one who's actually put one together themselves. So I was hoping maybe you would complain a bit about something. Well, like, what's your least favorite part about all of it?
My least favorite part. Definitely what I mentioned earlier, which is just the fact that I have to rely on guests to come on, and those guests are not always very easy to schedule. It's definitely the most frustrating part.
Yeah, I probably have to answer it the exact same way. And yeah, like the more like intricate and like the bigger names, I guess it's harder. Well, like when I started this, you could ask someone to come on a Saturday and put it out Monday, no problem. But now it's like you gotta plan weeks in advance. Some people want to know a bit about the questions or all of them. Like, there's always, as it gets bigger and better, it's way more time consuming. And I wouldn't say I hate it. Like, I like the growth and I like being on the inside and having all that happen. But it's way more time consuming. It's way more like stressful too. Like, sometimes I don't know who Monday's guest will be until like Sunday. I mean, you asked before, this will come out Monday. So that's like how quick I turn them around. And this is good. Like, early Saturday, I have all day to get it ready. Like, there have been times where I'm recording Sunday afternoon and then getting out next day. Again, hard to complain. I'm sure anyone listening with a real like construction or a lawyer or something is gonna think like we wish we just talked to a friend and edited and pushed publish the next day. Like, that is easy compared to a lot of things, but I still will point out that it's not as easy as it could be.
Yeah. Yeah. The editing process is definitely up there as well with like not my favorite. I wish I could just have the conversations and someone else would edit them or make the memes or something, but it's all part of the process, man.
Yeah. I actually I wish, I don't know, like, it would be a very ideal world if I could just have these talks and then someone else did all the other stuff, but maybe at some point. But good that you brought up the memes. I wanted to ask you about the way you market your episodes. Like,
hmm
it's always memes, and I was saying before that memes kind of like sell things and push the needle more than almost any other way of doing things
Yeah.
these days. Is that like would you agree with that? Like did you decided on memes because they worked the best, or is that just what you like doing and you don't really care how they work?
Yeah, I think definitely I started before I even had the podcast, I would start posting. I posted a couple just memes that I thought were funny. Like I would make something and I'd post it and just see how it did. And some of them really went really well. And I just decided that that's kind of how I was going to do marketing, I guess, for the podcast. Like I sometimes I tried posting a photo of people or other like tactics to get in, but for the most part, for like the whole way, basically, ever since like episode 2, I think I was just like memes are funny. I like making them. They get people involved, you know. So yeah, I just am chronically online and decided that it would be the best way.
Do you ever you make one like I guess both ends of the spectrum? Have you made one that's gone off way more than you ever anticipated? And then also have you like made any that in your head you're like this is gonna people are gonna love this and then that isn't the case?
Yeah, yeah, there's a lot actually. You never, it's kind of crazy. Instagram kind of sucks. You never know what's gonna pop off and what's not. So like there have been memes that I thought weren't very funny that have gotten hundreds and hundreds of likes, and there are ones that I just kind of threw together last minute that have really popped off. I mean, I don't know. I don't know. There's some I for the most part though, I do feel like the more I put into something, the more it's going to do well. Like, does that make sense? Like the harder I work on something, even if it's something vague, like, oh, I have to go redo something because the text is wrong. Even small changes like that, I feel like make a difference to me.
And then wait, sorry, you think when you do that they do work or don't?
Do. For the most part, for the most part. Like the more effort I put into something, I feel like the more it's gonna work on the page. And even if it's something small, like I've noticed a spelling error or I've thought of like a different way to phrase something, um, it just usually does better the more I care, which is frustrating. But it's just how it goes, man.
That's an incredible position to be in because I feel I'm almost the opposite. Like I'll think through something and then think maybe I've like orchestrated this like it has to do well because of how much thought went into it, and then it doesn't do well, and then I'll think of the dumbest idea with the typo and I'll make it like before bed and that's the one that works. And then in the morning, I'm like, I shouldn't have posted that. That's really dumb and that's spelled wrong and it's not sized properly, but it's already like in the algorithm and kind of working. So yeah, for me, I'm the opposite. I wish because I love overthinking stuff. So I do sit and think about like what could be put into this to have it work, and then it almost 100% of the time does not work, and then I'm defeated, and then I'm like, oh, should I just delete this entire podcast and go work at Safeway? It hasn't come to that, but maybe.
I feel that, man. I feel that. Well, that's why, I mean, you were talking about earlier. I'm just sort of like I come and go as I please a lot of time, and that's why it's like if I don't feel motivated to do something, I really don't try to force myself to, especially with I have a job and I don't I tried for like a few years to get this thing to like really pop off and go viral, and I realized that you can't really force it. And I just kind of go with the flow now, and maybe one day it'll happen if I keep caring and keep putting stuff out.
Yeah, I actually the exact same. Like a little bit ago, I was really insistent on this becoming something, and then one weekend I just kind of like sat down and thought about it and had like almost an ego death about all of it. And now I still like try pretty hard and try to be consistent and all that, but I'm not really like trying to think about what this could be and like what it should be in an ideal world. And I feel like it's going the best it has been once I kind of like stopped thinking about like what it could be and how things will perform if this step and this step, like how it can work how I wanted to. So I agree with that. Like the laissez faire seems to be like working a bit for me, and it seems to have worked like perfectly for you.
Yeah, yeah. It's just there's a balance to it. There's always a balance to it.
Yeah, it's so like impossible really to. I think when you think, at least for me, when I think one thing is gonna work, even if it does that one time, it doesn't keep working. So it's like a moving target every week, trying to like figure out how one will work and one won't. Or I mean, I guess the idea is for them all to work, but in the end it's always one does, one doesn't. But it's fun, at least. I don't. I mean, I love doing this, so maybe in a couple of years we'll have more complaints. But for now, no complaints. Really,
There you go, man. That's all that matters is that you're having fun, you're enjoying what you're doing, and people are listening, you know?
exactly. Um, you know what? I don't want to eat up any more of your morning than I said I would. I That went great. To be honest, I wasn't nervous, but I thought, like I was saying in the beginning, I thought you might impose more awkward humor and jokes on me, and I feel you were very well behaved compared to how
Thank you.
I've heard you be in a good way. But I've heard you joke around with other people, and I kind of anticipated that. So maybe, as we were saying, maybe you in a couple of months or years come back from round two and then really punish me with the awkward humor.
Yeah, and I also feel like the awkward humor stuff usually comes out more when it is that second go around. Like when we've already met, we've already got the hellos and who are yous out of the way, and then it really pops off after that, in my opinion.
Well, then maybe I'll lose this audio file.
No, no. That's awesome.
But before we actually hop off, I'll link everything, of course, but just to hear it from you, please let anyone listening know where they can find you or your pod, whatever you wanna promote. The mic is yours. Please go ahead.
Yeah. Follow me on Instagram, Trees and Nylon. I'm sure I'll be tagged when this episode comes out. But yeah, follow me on Instagram. I guess follow me on Spotify. I checked Spotify the other day and I had followers. I didn't even know you could do that. I'm an Apple Music guy. Crucify me, whatever. I don't really, I think that's it. Just the Instagram's kind of the only place where I'm posting these days. So check out the pod if you get a chance.
I'm also Apple. I Spotify is easier, like it looks better aesthetically to promote, so I always link the Spotify because they made it easier to do that. But I'm definitely an Apple guy, and it's funny, the other day I didn't know that you could see your Spotify following either. I did that the first time the other day too. I was actually not to end this on bragging, but I was impressed. I was surprised. I didn't think anyone cared, and a couple of people seemed to. So yeah.
It's always nice. I was the same way. I was like, oh, I have like followers. That's pretty cool. I didn't know you could do that on here. And it's a little bit of an ego boost, you know? It feels good.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I like to really degrade and devalue myself most of the time. So every now and then, look at the followers, see there's 8 of them. It's great.
Hell yeah, man. Hell yeah.
Well, thank you very much. Enjoy the rest of the day and the weekend, and happy holidays and everything else I'm probably forgetting to say. But beyond that, thank you. I really, really appreciate this.
Yeah. Yeah, you know what? Merry Christmas, you know? The libtards want to take that away from us, but I'm really gonna I think I'm gonna fight for Christmas this year. I'm gonna go to a Starbucks and I'm gonna look at all the baristas and hey, Merry Christmas. Get like a nice. I think it'll be good.
I agree. I also will head to Starbucks
If
and
you could head to a Starbucks and harass a minimum wage worker for me, I feel like that's the least you could do.
yeah, yes. I mean, parting we both of us for Christmas want all the listeners to berate Starbucks baristas as much as possible.
Yeah, if you consider yourself a dedicated listener to the pod and you're not going to Starbucks and harassing the workers there, I think you should probably unsubscribe. And I don't want to tell your listeners what to do, but I do think that's kind of what we both represent. So,
Yeah, no, of course. I really agree. I'm glad we can leave on that positive.
on a high note, yeah.
Thank you very much. Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.